Test, test. Test, test, test. Testing, testing. Hello, degenerates. This is Stephen Hesher with another Stoned Scriptures. Today we're going to be looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 2, if you would like to read along, and I will be reading from an English Standard Version Bible. Holy cow. This is more of the cheap stuff that I had for Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Weed-wise, anyways. Alrighty. Let's get started. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. The heading on this in my Bible says, The Vanity of Self-Indulgence. I said in my heart, Come now, I will test you with pleasure, enjoy yourself. But behold, this also was vanity. I said of laughter, It is mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? I searched with my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly till I might see what was good for the children of man. What was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delight of the children of man. So I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity, a striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. This next section is called The Vanity of Living Wisely. So I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who comes after the king? Only what has already been done. Then I saw that there is more gain in wisdom than in folly, as there is more gain in light than in darkness. The wise person has eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And yet I perceived that the same event happens to all of them. Then I said in my heart, What happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And I said in my heart that this is also vanity. For of the wise as of the fool there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How the wise dies just like the fool. So I hated life, because what is done under the sun was grievous to me, for all is vanity and a striving after wind. This last section for today is called The Vanity of Toil. I hated all my toil, in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will be master of all for which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all of the toil and labors under the sun, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is a vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he has given the business of gathering and collecting, only to give to one who pleases God. This also is a vanity and a striving after the wind. I'm reminded of the poem Ozymandias, in which a traveler in the desert finds a monument to a long past king who is boasting in this monument to his greatness. He almost seems to view himself as a deity, this long past king. And the traveler, after reading a really self-aggrandizing engraving to this king, Ozymandias, he looks around and sees nothing but rubble and ruin. And the point of the poem is to kind of talk about the Sicilic nature of a lot of our history, how you can be the king of the world and still a day will come when no one knows your name, no one knows your legacy. The only thing marking you is a quickly disintegrating monument that you made for yourself. Speaking more to the first section that I read, the vanity of self-enjoyment, I have definitely been a lot more hedonistic than some Christians I've met, as far as the number of people I've slept with, the amount of drugs that I've done. And I would definitely agree that almost every pleasure is fleeting. You'll wake up the next morning hungover. You'll wake up the next morning with regret at having to sneak out of someone else's bed. Working really hard to build something and feeling satisfied at the end of the day with your labor. That feeling of satisfaction can be ruined by knowing that someday you're going to die, and that all the efforts that you put into whatever that project is it's going to be nothing to you because you'll be dead. And as it says in The Vanity of Living Wisely, you'll be dead and quickly forgotten. It is interesting to me that just the level of self-indulgence that the author was able to give himself, as far as making incredible landscapes and crazy buildings and furthering his economy in Jerusalem. Some would say unethically. I would agree with the unethical practice of slavery. But apart from that, it sounds like he's making a fantastic project in the city of Jerusalem. But he can't escape the feeling of knowing that there's going to be people who didn't work at all to build it up. And they're going to be the ones who really enjoy the fruits of his labors. The vanity of toil section is kind of a weird one. Towards the end, it says, "There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil." But even in that feeling, and maybe I already said this, I am high, hence stoned scriptures. Yeah, even in that feeling of satisfaction, he ruins it for himself. He talks about this is only vanity and striving after wind. Yeah, I guess here at the section that I'm reading now, he's saying that those who please God in their efforts will get satisfaction, but those who don't will not receive satisfaction for their efforts. I would argue that even those who do try to please God in their efforts can feel a sense of vanity in what they do. Again, it's hard to forget that we're all going to die someday, and even if I talk quite a bit with my friends about like how Ray Kurzweil thinks that by the end of the century there's not going to be any pure humans anymore. We're all going to be cybernetically enhanced, and by the 2090s, we might even be able to start uploading our consciousnesses to computers, which, from our current perspective, would seem like immortality. However, any physicist will tell you that there's eventually going to be the heat death of the universe that will kill even a being whose processing power lies in silicon rather than neurons. So, yeah, even this sort of sci-fi immortality will eventually have an end. There is going to be an end to your existence. That can be a really hard feeling to overcome. It can be paralyzing if you're not careful. Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like you should feel paralyzed from it, obviously. I think that maybe you could almost take that acknowledgement of your mortality as an encouragement to participate in, risky or uncomfortable activities, knowing that one day you're going to die, one day it's all going to be over, and none of this is going to matter anymore. Why not do that thing that scared you so much? Well, that's about all I have to say about Ecclesiastes 2. Next time we'll be getting into Ecclesiastes 3. Thank you for tuning in. This is Stephen Hesher with Stone Scriptures.